Good morning, everybody. It is November 17th. This is the regular meeting of the Washoe County Board of County Commissioners. We are here in person, here in the chambers, and also on Zoom. Thank you for joining us digitally. We appreciate that. And with that, Manager Brown, will you lead us in the salute to the flag, sir? To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Now, Madam Clerk, can I get a roll call?
Of course. Bob Lucy, Chair.
Here.
Marcia Burke-Bickler, Vice Chair.
Here.
Katie Jung via phone.
Present.
Vaughn Hartung.
Here.
Jeannie Herman via phone.
Here.
County Manager Eric Brown. I believe it's Nate Edwards from the District Attorney's Office. Via Zoom.
Here, thank you.
And I'm Jan Galasini, your County Clerk. You have quorum, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I do appreciate that. All right. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate Commissioner John. Good morning. Commissioner Herman, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Manager, we are on to item 3.
Item 3 is public comment. Comment period under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
All right. Madam Clerk, we have 2 individuals signed in. We have an email from Mr. Purdy, is that correct?
That is correct, and we have
All
a
right.
voicemail from Anne Marie Grant.
We will place Mr. Purdy's email on the record,
Okay.
and we will play the voicemail.
1117 County Commissioner, Item 3, Public Comment. Anne Marie Grant for the record, sister of Thomas Purdy, hogtied by Reno PD for 40 minutes and asphyxiated to death up at Washoe County Jail. Again, I ask you what exact measures you, as the county commissioners, are doing to meet your obligations under NRS 211.020. Shall take all necessary precautions against escape, sickness, or infection. We know that at least 76 inmates have tested positive for COVID-19. 40 staff have also tested positive. We know those deputies weren't wearing their masks as they should have been, per people incarcerated at the hellhole at Ispar Boulevard. You were also put on notice regarding the disgusting, dangerous food the inmates are served. No, it's not your son or daughter up there, so why would you do anything about it when you actually do have the power per the NRS? I often wonder if hearing my brother pleading for his life affects you all in any manner. Clearly not, because some of you have gone so far as to say the NRS needs to go. Well, guess what? It isn't gone, so do your jobs. I don't want you to imagine the heartache my family feels every day. I want you to imagine being my brother Thomas, hogtied for 40 minutes, terrified, knowing he was going to be killed. Imagine the terror as he struggled to breathe with 4 huge men on top of him while hogtied face down. Imagine his life flashing before his eyes, 2 young children left without a father. Stop living up on your imaginary pedestals and start protecting the most vulnerable in the community. Again, I'll leave you with my brother being killed at the jail. It's just sickening they killed a man after my brother and before. Please do your job so no other family knows this heartache.
Miss Elizabeth Gambrill via Zoom, is that correct? Welcome, Ms. Gambrill. Can you hear us?
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Hello? Ms. Gambrill, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you barely, very quietly.
All right, let me check my microphone settings. Testing, one,
Yeah.
2, 3. Is that better?
We can hear you better now. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Elizabeth Gembrell from Gerlach, Nevada, and I'm speaking to a matter that is not on the agenda. I'd like it noted that we're concerned that our fire department is once again undermanned. We have not addressed this situation in almost 2 years. But recently, one of our fire department members decided to take a better job in Reno, which is all power to him. What I'm concerned about and my fellow citizens are concerned about is the fact that his job has not yet been posted. They had his 2 weeks notice. He has been gone for almost 2 full weeks, and we still do not have any job posting to replace him. We are 100 miles from Reno. We need 2 firemen on duty in order to run any ambulance services. We've already had one instance where they could not take a patient in the ambulance because we did not have qualified people on staff. We went through this several years ago when our fire department resigned, and we went from being an all-volunteer fire department to a paid fire department. The amount of money is being divided out to hire interims, which are our support staff here, because we do not expect our 2 firemen to work 24/7, 365. Has not been consistent in the last year and a half, so we're short on them as well. Also, Truckee Meadows Fire Department has not supported the training plan that they said they would institute, follow up on, and continue. So we are now low on volunteers. Currently, we're experiencing 12 to 14 shifts a month where we have no fire or paramedic people on hand. We are a community of 100 or more souls. We do cover the entire northern corner of Washoe County, from the Paiute Reservation to the California border. And that's a lot of ground to cover for just 2 people. They're doing a fabulous job. When there were 2 people, now I'm concerned. So I'd like to have that on record before you go to your next Truckee Meadows Fire Department meeting. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Ms. Gambrill. We do appreciate you joining us this morning. All right, seeing no further public comment, we will close public comment and bring it back to the board. Right, you're good? Okay, for no further on Zoom, okay. All right, we are on to item 4. Mr. Manager, this is item 4.
Item 4 is Commissioners and County Managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions' updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
Okay, Mr. Manager, do you have anything for this morning?
I have nothing this morning, Mr. Chair.
All right, I'm going to kick it off here. We have been working through COVID very difficultly, and it's very challenging for a number of us. But however, these meetings are always been trying to be conducted as business meetings, and as such, we have given every opportunity for those individuals while we were not in person to provide public comment. Public comment is definitely a right for all citizens in this community to address this government and this body. However, being that we have our chambers open, and being that you can participate in person and by or via Zoom through technology, I'm going to make a change here, and I'm going to make it on the public record, that no longer will we be playing voicemails or reading emails. Your emails that you will still be allowed to submit your voicemails and emails. They will be placed on the record. However, we will no longer be playing those emails or reading the emails or playing the voicemails. You can participate in real time with us and should do so if you choose to address this body. And from here on out, I want to make those changes, Mr. Manager and Madam Clerk. Okay?
That is noted for the record.
Thank you. All right. With that, I will move on to Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious whether or not residents in Gerlach pay the fire fee that the rest of the county, unincorporated county residents pay. So if we could get a response to that at some point in time.
Okay. Is that all? Madam Vice Chair? Yes, that's all. Okay. Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really have nothing except for, I would like to keep alive with staff some of the needs that we're still experiencing high levels of speeding in the residential areas. I'm sure it's not just endemic in Spanish Springs. I'm sure it's everywhere. And so I'm looking forward to having the broader conversation. So I want to keep that alive. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Hartung. Commissioner Jung.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Commissioner Herman, do you have anything this morning?
Yes, I'd just like to double up on Commissioner Burt Bigler's statement about the fire department. Let's see what we can do to improve that situation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. We'll get that on the agenda. All right. Seeing nothing else, we will close Commissioner Manager's announcements, and we are on to item 5. Mr. Manager.
Item 5 is receive an update and presentation regarding NDOT Spaghetti Bowl Express project from Sajid Salaria, who's a professional engineer with NDOT, and I believe he's available virtually.
All right, marvelous. Thank you. Mr. Solaria, are you with us on Zoom this morning?
Yes, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you, sir. Appreciate you coming this morning. Now, do you have a presentation for us this morning? Usually on these presentations, we allow for 10 minutes. So if you can keep your presentation within 10 minutes, that would be fantastic. And then we will have kind of a Q&A session after, okay?
Sure, we'll do. And let me share my screen. I have a presentation that I...
Great, we can see it now.
Okay, you guys can see that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, good morning, board members. My name is Sajid Solaria from NDOT Project Management Division. First, I would like to thank you for allowing me the opportunity to provide an update for Reno Spaghetti Bowl project, as well as Reno Spaghetti Bowl Express project, which is currently underway. As this board is vested in this Reno Spaghetti Bowl project, and as a reminder, I would like to briefly go over some of the project goals. We had planned phasing for the project, some of the construction features and investment needs, and also provide an update for the current phase. So let me begin with my slideshow. Reno Spaghetti Bowl project, as we all know, is the busiest interchange in Northern Nevada. Over 260,000 vehicles travel in that area per day. The crash rates throughout this project limits is about 150% statewide average. So there's definitely busy intersection, and crash rates are throughout the country, throughout the state is 150% of the statewide average. What are our project goals for this project? We want to improve safety always. We want to reduce congestion, travel delays, air quality, and improve freeway operations, as well as reduce weaving that is currently out there right now. As I mentioned, what are some planned project phasing for Reno Spaghetti Bowl overall project? As you can see, phase 1 that is currently underway, that is started as beginning of this year, and our substantial completion for this phase will be late 2022. Phase 2, that is on the easterly limits of this project of Reno Spaghetti Bowl, that is tentatively scheduled for 2024 to 2028. Phase 3 that covers the northern portion of the Spaghetti Bowl, that is scheduled for 2028 to 2034. And phase 4 that covers the southern leg of the project, that is from 2035 to 2037. And the last phase is phase 5 that is tentatively scheduled for 2037 to 2039. So as a disclaimer, all these phases, remaining phases, are pending funding availability, and they could change, but this is the best information we have out there, and we have the phasing plans. Selected alternative for this Reno Spaghetti Bowl, we will reconstruct interchange to increase capacity and separate ramps to improve the weaving operations and the length, and we will also construct additional through lanes. This will include constructing new or replacing or widening about 62 bridges throughout the project. Like I mentioned, we will be widening lanes and the shoulder widths and constructing auxiliary lanes between closely spaced entrance and exit ramps. what is some of the investments that we need for this project? Obviously, project estimated investments, project development, design engineering, definitely right-of-way acquisition is a big part of it, the construction of the project, construction management, and some of the major price factors are adjacent development and uses. Nugget Viaduct is one of the areas is important to this project, Truckee River and Railroad, and system interchange. So this project investment, Reno Spaghetti Bowl, could exceed over $2 billion. That's the investment for this project we'll be needing. Let me quickly go over phase one of SBX project that is currently underway. Again, some of the major construction features. On the right, I have a project area is highlighted in yellow. Just going to briefly go over, this project is reconfiguring I-80 eastbound entrance and exit ramps between Wells Avenue and Spaghetti Bowl. This project will also widen I-80 eastbound to I-580 southbound ramp to 2 lanes. Currently, there's 2 lanes merged into 1 lane, and this project will continue those 2 lanes configuration. We will also reconfigure I-580 southbound to Spaghetti Bowl to accommodate 3 lanes. Right now, if you notice, there's 2 lanes come through the area, and we will continue with this project to accommodate 3 lanes, and as well as minimum of 4 lanes, plus an auxiliary lane to continue all the way through Spaghetti Bowl to Vassar Street. This project will entail, we'll construct new or replace / widen about 7 bridges. We will also reconstruct 2nd and Glendale and Mill Street southbound entrance and exit ramps, and it will replace also on the northbound aging concrete that is in place for over 40 plus years, portion of I-580 northbound pavement reconstruction that is currently underway. Some of the major project challenges, we want to minimize impacts to our motorists during major freeway reconstruction because of the limited number of alternative routes. We have major bridge demolition and construction over Truckee River. That attributes to our 408 permit requirements and seasonal restrictions. We want to avoid delays attributed to railroad agreements, bridge demolition and construction over local roadway. We want to limit impacts to our users and businesses and minimize impacts to our stakeholders. Upcoming construction, I just want to briefly mention what we have going right now. Just looking ahead in 2020, there's some utility work going on near the Reno Sparks Indian Colony. There'll be a neighborhood wall work going on, I-580 northbound paving. As you can see, the citizens see that traffic switches were happening right now, and because of northbound paving, we're almost there. Traffic control will be back to normal within, I guess, back to same original configuration within a few weeks, or in December, the northbound paving work will be done. As eastbound I-80 to northbound US 395 bridge construction and eastbound I-80 to southbound ramp works will happening in December. Looking ahead in next quarter of next year, we'll continue to utility work will be happening in RSIC, neighborhood walls work will be continuing. And like I mentioned, eastbound I-80, northbound bridge reconstruction work, ramp work near that area will be happening in the next 3 to 4 months, looking ahead. Currently, what's happening this week, we are switching again to the traffic is going to call phase 1C, which is constructing widening of I-80 between Mill and Plum Lane. So they're focusing on that traffic switch. Our design builder, northbound lanes will be returned back to pre-construction configurations, and there will be some overnight interstate ramp closures and lane shifts on the northbound and the southbound as well. What you can expect this week, some of these figures that depict some of the closures, what the citizens can see, overnight closures on westbound I-80 to southbound from this week of November for some of those ramp closures. And the week of this week and next week, depending on the weather dependent, there will be intermittent nightly ramp closures to work on Mill Street and Glendale off ramps. And there will be some work going on Mill Street on-ramp to North I-580, and as well as Glendale. So as you can see, there's a lot of upcoming traffic and work going on next couple weeks. continue on the traffic control. A marathon weekend, we call it a marathon weekend. There will be the ramps from December 4th, tentatively scheduled December 4th to 7th. Again, operation are anticipated due to, weather dependent, but that is currently our design builder schedule is. There will be a 24-hour closure for the eastbound ramp to the northbound US 395 work that will be happening between December 4th to December 4th to 7th. And also there will be nightly closures from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. From the same week. That will not be 24-hour closure, but only a nightly closure for I-80 ramp going southbound I-580. We're also, because of this COVID, everybody is adhering. We can't have a public meeting. So in the same week of December 3rd to 17th, we're going to have a virtual public meeting for this project. It will be available through NDOT spaghettibowl.com. Citizens can sign in electronically, and comment availability will be on the website. There will be an update graphics for the project improvements, including the landscape and aesthetic. And there will be drive-through animation as well, so citizens can see what the project will look like at the end of the day. And if we have the citizens have questions, we already have that out. If they have questions or comments, there's a website for the project. It's n.spaghettibowl.com, or they can email if they have questions on info@n.spaghettibowl.com. There's a project hotline number, as well as they can text with 7979 with SPX on there. So that is how they can get information on the project. And this is just where the contact information. And that's my presentation. I went fairly quickly. I was aware of 10 minutes. I apologize if I went too fast, but I'll be happy to answer any questions if you guys have.
No, it was great, sir. We do appreciate it. Thank you. I think the detail was fantastic, and I think the commissioners have probably some ample questions for you. So with that, do we have any, Commissioner Hartung?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Soloria, can you go back to your slide on the phasings and the time schedules of those phasings?
Can you see my screen?
Yes. There we
Okay.
go. 2039, phase 5. My goodness. Is phase 3 the widening of 395 north?
I think that currently there's some projects that north of this are Spaghetti Bowl, but this is between the Spaghetti Bowl to, I believe, the McCarran Loop. So I think that phase, I don't have the whole scope in front of me, but that is the area that it needs to address where the northbound projects are leaving. Okay. And I believe I have also Nick Johnson is on the call if there's any questions that in the past.
I wondered if that was phase 3, if the identification for the widening of 395. I mean, I see that the map only goes just past McCarran and sort of Clearacre, but I wondered if if that was the same timing as the widening of 395 north.
I'm not involved in the 395 North project, but I think that is either the timing on this one, again, this been, pending on funding and availability, it could change, but I think that is the best at that time when the NEPA was identifying the phasing, this information, I think as we speak, it still holds. And I think the northbound work is probably either happening before or happening at.
Okay. I have another question. So a couple of years ago, when Thor Dyson was the district manager for, I think it's District 2 up here, which is now Mike Fease, which is his district, NDOT was doing a project on 580 south from essentially the Spaghetti Bowl all the way down past I think it was past Moana or about to Moana Lane. Were you with NDOT during that time frame?
Sir, I was with NDOT, but in the project management division, I've only been there about 2 years, so I can't speak for that project.
Okay, no, I'm just wondering how much of that was for naught and that this will essentially change all the rules, and all that money that was spent for that portion was, I'm just curious, because I know we've fooled with these areas for quite some time, and I'm just concerned about the timing. That's all. These are calls that we get on the ground level all the time.
Yes, sir.
I'll leave it there. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Slayer, I have the same question and concern. Obviously 20 years, I was joking with another one of my commissioners. The spaghetti bowl has been a problem here for 20 years. And we've had issues for it, and now we're getting underway with some corrections, and we do appreciate the state's addressing these issues. But we've pointed out time and time again that spaghetti bowl is the most dangerous interchange in our state. And it's nice to see the Spaghetti Bowl Express underway, and we're moving forward with the phase 1 portion of this, and they're quickly moving on those southbound ramps. But my question to you is, one, why are we moving? My understanding, the biggest problem that we have currently with I-80, 580 through the Spaghetti Bowl interchange is phase 3 from the Spaghetti Bowl to, according to what it looks like on your map, just north of McCarran, up by Clearacre. Why isn't that being addressed as phase 2 instead of phase 3? Because I understand the challenges of I-80 East past Rock Boulevard and out to Vista and McCarran on that direction. However, there's some limitations there with the Nugget, the Sparks Nugget is out there, and that has physical challenges that are going to keep from widening that road and the improvements on those roads. And I haven't seen the backups on I-80 that I have seen on northbound 395 or northbound 588 from the Spaghetti Bowl. Why the reverse of those two phases?
So thank you for the question. Again, I can't speak for how these phases were selected because I was not part of it. My knowledge on this is only like 8 months on this project. I don't want to speak for the department, but as a citizen myself, drive this area. I think these phases was chosen in a way with a lot of public meetings, and what these phases are independently. And again, the funding is always an issue. As a citizen myself, I can see that this is it's going to take. So if one phase is done, can that still operate? The freeway operation is efficiently. So I know there's not northbound work has been happening in a series of different projects. Like Commissioner Hartung mentioned, there's projects that are happening on 395 North. And I can't really answer the question as far as why these phases were picked and how they were picked. I don't have the answer, but I can ask and maybe get back to you.
I appreciate that, and we can reach out. We'll reach out to some of the other. Yes, that'd be great. And I know you said Nick Johnson was on with you.
I think he was. I invited him, but I don't know if he is able to. His mic is on or not, but Nick, I can't.
Nick, can you hear us, Nick?
Good morning, Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Good morning, Nick. How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Good. Now, Nick, you've been sitting with us all as a commission. Every board member has sat with you and your staff for the last 2 years as we've gone through a number of the issues through the master plan for the Spaghetti Bowl, and I know you've been part of the project. Can you give me a little bit more depth to the question that I asked?
Yeah, and I can do that as well as answer Mr. Hartung's question about the North Valleys as well. But to answer your question, Chairman, when we went through, and keep in mind too, you can even see here on the slide, it says information is preliminary, subject to change. And when this was developed through the NEPA process, it was looked at, based on some of the safety, the accidents, the places out there, played into prioritization of developing in this high level phasing plan, as well as some of the traffics, the needs, some of those things. Now, a lot of times too, and I think we've talked about this before, these can be built out of order. This was just, at the very beginning, putting together a plan that we could start getting out there, that we can start working towards, so on and so forth. But we also recognize that over time, things can change. And to your point, if we're seeing that there's maybe a shift of, needs or safety or one of these phases, and it makes more sense to go a different direction at that time, we can certainly do so. But I think the intent of what was described here, if you guys recall, I mean, this is a massive, massive undertaking and very, very expensive. I think almost $2 billion worth of improvements. So, not having $2 million or $2 billion, at one time is looking at how do you phase this over time to make the, to allow for, time to identify funding and meet those needs. And, and I think I've said before too, I mean, if more of that funding were to become available, these things can be advanced, or if it's not, or if there's different pieces that can, that we can do in smaller chunks or whatever. But, but generally speaking, I think to answer your question, when we looked at this originally, based on the safety, the needs, some of the aging infrastructure, some of those things are what we base some of this phasing upon. But again, it can change if we feel the need to, and we can move forward that way.
Well, that's good to hear. I'm happy to hear that there are the ability to be flexible, so this isn't set in stone, and that there is some, at the discretion of NDOT as funding becomes available, you'll be able to move a little bit differently and quicker if you see that being more effective. So my concern still is though that 40 years, with the way the growth that we're seeing in this community, just in the last 12 to 24 months, if we're talking about rebuilding a challenged intersection and then taking 40 years to really make suitable improvements, how are you guys basing the structure of those improvements? Are you future planning on those? Are you utilizing today's population models? How do you really plan a project out 40 years?
It goes back to the old NEPA process. We forecast that out. I think in this case, we're out to, 2040. When we look at, population growth, we work with the Truckee Meadows,
TMRPBA?
Yeah, TMRP. Thank you very much. We worked with those folks when we were doing this. We also, the traffic modeling, working with RTC, of course, all of our, the agencies, including yourselves, and trying to get all that information early on to, build a model that could forecast. Now, we've seen with other projects throughout the state, those things change over time, and we can update this accordingly. I mean, if it exceeds that, we can go back and update, the NEPA document, or if it doesn't meet those thresholds that we forecasted, we can go back and update it out. We can update that as well. But what we start with is that model, out 20 years roughly, and then we try to build a project that can sustain, at least at a minimum that, and even, if we can, moving forward even into the future. So, we look at all those things during the NEPA process. We took a lot of those things into account. But like I said, too, now that we've gotten through the NEPA project and we're starting to make these improvements, we constantly go back and look at that NEPA project, the assumptions that we made, all the data that we put into it, and look at it and say, hey, are these things still the same? Do they still make sense? Are we still tracking with our forecasts, or is there anything that's changed so drastically that we need to go back and possibly reevaluate that and make an update?
All right, thank you. Commissioner Hartung. Nick, we appreciate you and Mr. Solari coming this morning and presenting to us. Commissioner Herman, do you have any questions?
I just wanted to say that you posed some very good questions and we received some great answers. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. And Commissioner Jung, nothing, would you like to add anything this morning?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really need more information as per usual, because it seems like no matter how much we as locals do to move the ball forward, I believe we gave RTC's local gas tax. We used RTC's gas tax to quote unquote accelerate the spaghetti bowl, and I don't see a lot of acceleration. And I wonder if when they look at these gas taxes, I know just because of the volume of Clark County, of course they create a lot of revenue there, but I'd like to see per capita what our revenue is for that feeds this federal line that gets fed to NDOT, and NDOT decides where it goes. And I know you have a board, but I don't think that Northern Nevada gets nearly what we should be getting, considering how much our property tax revenue has gone up vis-a-vis price of housing here, and just more specifically, how much gas is bought through here via us being an inland port on I-80. So I would like to see more data on how that is weighted and balanced, and if it reflects the ebb and flow of those major areas that would demand, to me, if we're generating this type of revenue and donating revenue, I would always advocate for more for us at the locals and an acceleration at the local level, considering that we are in a crisis of skyrocketing rents and skyrocketing property value, which could only skyrocket all of the gas and other funds that the feds take from us to then distribute back to us. So those are just philosophical disagreements, but I do want to see some research and some data on how are these weighted every single year. I get that we have to plan for 2035. You know, I don't love doing that. I'd rather deal with things today and prevent things in the future rather than, you know, going so far forward. And I know that the gentlemen on the phone really aren't the people that can answer these philosophical questions, but I would like some data back on how these numbers are generated. Where did our local gas tax go that we donated? And how has that moved the needle, if at all, or if it was more symbolic? Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jung. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I also am a little concerned about your comments earlier about Phase 2 versus Phase 3. As you'll remember, when we did the regional master plan, that it would appear that the majority of the growth is going to be north of Interstate 80 as it hangs through town. So it would seem to me more appropriate to make sure that we're addressing those issues for transportation north rather than out to the east, where I know it's horrible. I've driven it when it was that bad at the wrong, when you happen to get out there in the wrong hour. It's terrible. But there's not going to be the growth out that direction that we're going to see in the north over the next 10 years. And I would think perhaps that's something that needs to be reconsidered by NDOT. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. You know, Mr. Johnson, I want to kind of piggyback off of Commissioner Jung's comments. I think there's a massive disparity, and I know that you and Mr. Solaria are project managers and have been working on these projects and have many higher-ups that you have to answer to. I would hope in future presentations or opportunities in front of this board that either Director Swallow or Deputy Director Mortensen attend so that we could have some more of these robust discussions, because I think Commissioner Jung's right. When we talk about state funding, CMAQ funding, there's about a good percentage of that, a disparity that goes to the south that should be in the north. And at RTC, we deliver on projects very, very rapidly and very efficiently, and have done on our own, regional roads to maintain our road systems. But it seems like when we tried to work with NDOT, and to Commissioner Jung's point, we did give a significant amount of our gas tax funding from Washoe RTC to NDOT to help accelerate this project because of the need and how important it was. And to have that, I understand your engineers and project managers and whatnot, but these are difficult questions that we can't just have, a 40-year plan like we have in an RTP to plan this out and hopefully hope for the best, because there is more than just an engineering portion to this. There is a human value portion to this. There is a growth portion to this. There is a viability of economic growth and development to this. And if we're not addressing those issues alongside of the engineering challenges and the funding challenges and having those discussions, we are doing a disservice to the community, not just to the Truckee Meadows, Reno Sparks, and Washoe County, but to the entire northern part of the state. Remember, the northern Nevada relies heavily on our airport, the ability to shop here, get health services here, do different things. And 80 is that thoroughfare, and so is that spaghetti bowl. And so when we talk about the airport being, this county being home to 500,000 people, but we are a catchment basin for about 1.2 million people that move through that corridor, and that is what I like to call congested heart failure of an interchange. So, and I appreciate the presentation, but hopefully we can have a more in-depth conversation with Director Swallow and Director Mortensen in future months. So, anything further from any of the commissioners? Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you. And Nick, I appreciate you being on the line today. Nice to hear from you. I'm not going to beat on you. I'm just going to make a statement, and that is, if this project were in southern Nevada, would these timeframes be acceptable? That's my only comment. And just then to everybody else's point, things happen rapidly down there with far less ADTs, and it's just frustrating for us up here. That's all. So I know I'm not, again, this is not beating on you. It's just it's the system itself. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right. Seeing nothing further, Ms. Laria, Mr. Johnson, we do appreciate you participating this morning. Thank you very much. Hopefully you'll carry our message back to your managers and directors, and we look forward to future conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, and we'll take that back to them.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. With that, we will move on to item 5. Mr. Manager.
I believe it's item 6, Mr. Chair.
Oh, it is. You're right. Thank you.
All right. Item 6, acknowledge and receive presentation by Carl Hasty of Tahoe Transportation District on the acquisition of the Old Incline Elementary School by Tahoe Transportation District for a future transportation hub. And I believe Mr. Hasty is available to us.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Hasty. How are you?
Very good, thank you. I have a brief presentation, informational presentation to provide you this morning. And so I'm going to go to share screen here and see how successfully I pull that.
All right.
How are we looking?
I still don't see your screen yet, sir.
All right. That should work.
There we go.
Very good, thank you. Well, this morning, as noted, I wanted to talk to you about where we're going here up in Incline. So transportation up at the basin, connection to Washoe County, especially down here in the valley, and the SR 28 corridor. A little bit of background and some update. The district, TTD has been using this site at 771 Southwood, the old elementary school, as a seasonal intercept and transfer point for Sand Harbor since 2012. It's part of our larger effort in working with the county and state parks and the other stakeholders, agencies along the 28 corridor to help ameliorate that traffic and the parking issues that happen there and the access issues that have been quite unsafe and growing as our population grows. Other infrastructure that we've been involved with that we've queued up to get done, and with the help of NDOT, getting it on the ground, has been the new East Shore Trail, that path there from the Ponderosa Ranch, that trailhead parking into Sand Harbor. We're looking at have dollars to now design the next 8 miles from Sand Harbor to Spooner Summit at the intersection with US 50. As I noted, the trailhead parking, because that's part of the effort, is try to get as much of that parking relocated off of the highway. We work cooperatively, as I noted, with Washoe County on this. That's very much a partnership. That's how we leverage each other to get things done. And then it's part of the acquisition of the school site, just like the trailhead parking is part of TTD's long-range transit plan to shift use of personal vehicles to alternative modes, or at least a portion of that, and trying to deal with the numbers that we have. So the trailhead, the Spooner Summit location, which I'll show in a little while on a map, and the elementary school are 3 of those locations. They're not the only locations, but they're 3 of those locations. In September of this year, the Washoe County School District Board approved the sale of the school site to TTD. TTD has secured grant funds from the Federal Transit Administration through NDOT for the purchase of the site, and match monies are required. This is the location on Southwood outlined there from the appraisal. A little closer blow up of that. This is a 6.4 acre parcel. The school buildings there are full of asbestos and will need to be demolished and remediated all the way. This is the location, however, that we, as I noted, we've been using in the summertime as an intercept point. The access from here, and oftentimes I know you all hear about the complaints of people taking a shortcut down through Country Club to try to get to Sand Harbor. For those who are coming here, the shortest route is to come down the Mount Rose Highway through the roundabout into this location. This is a little bit of detail about the property. This is 6.4 acres. There's about 4.25 acres of coverage. That's an important term, an important tool up at Tahoe, because that starts to define what you can actually build. And then you can see the appraisal value down here at the very bottom. It's 2.35 million. The overall value of 3.5 this appraisal, but the demolition and remediation for those buildings is priced at about 1.15. As I noted, and this is an exhibit from the cooperative operating agreement that we have with Washoe County, Nevada State Parks, NDOT, and the other stakeholders in the 28 corridor. Relevant to this, item 3 is the one that I'm really bringing your attention to. This maintenance agreement was signed in 2015. And I've noted we started using the site since 2012. So it's been our intent to seek the location permanently. That became available to us, especially once IFCA decided they weren't going to purchase the property. Then, as I noted, I'm not expecting you to see everything on this graphic. This is an exhibit out of our long-range transit plan. What I want to highlight here on the upper right-hand corner on the right-hand side are these salmon color circles. These are the locations that I was just mentioning. Spooner Summit right here, where we're looking at developing a larger location there and moving the location from where it is right now to across from Spooner, looking at about a 250 parking space location there. We have now the trailhead parking that's there. We're now focusing here on the opportunity with the school site. And I want to stress here that locations for the future are not limited to inside the basin. They're very much an important part of being inside the basin. We have all these cars and this visitation coming now. We need to build a system internal to the basin, and then we do have plans and are looking to go outside the basin. And you'll see a symbol up there in that upper right-hand corner that's identifying the potential of using Mount Rose in the summertime, or certainly a location at the bottom of the Mount Rose Highway, as well as over there in Truckee. So I just wanted to make you aware of how the acquisition of this and the pursuit of this fits in with the long-term vision for Tahoe and its transportation network. Our next steps are we are looking to put together a public engagement process with the community and incline. There's lots of ideas that have come forward to us. There's lots of opportunities on this, and our intent in acquiring this site is to design and build a facility that works for both transit as well as there's room for other desirable amenities in the county, in Incline Village. We're looking to complete the purchase process with the school district. We're looking then, as I noted, to develop this project concept. One that's even the most recent is in talking with the sheriff's office and the idea of a judicial center. They need about an acre, and co-locating everything there, and that becomes possible here. So that's something, an idea that we'll be looking at. And then once the property is acquired, then we'll be developing this demolition plan and getting the buildings removed from the site. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I will conclude my informational presentation and answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hasty. Appreciate you doing that this morning. Let's jump right into it. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of things on this issue. As you are probably all aware, because you've seen emails from residents of Incline Village, they do not support a transportation hub in this location for a number of reasons, not the least of which is the traffic is very heavy in that area. There's a lot of apartments across the street and a lot of other things that impact. There are students who are walking to school in that area, and so there's going to be, the safety issue that they're worried about. If you see how, you can see on the picture that's up there right now, there's all trees along that upper portion, so there's no ingress or egress onto the actual highway. You have to come down the side road and come in. And that's an issue that's going to have to be addressed because ingress and egress from this property is not easy. There's so much traffic there that turning left onto that side street to get out onto the highway is pretty difficult. And turning right in the wintertime can be pretty dangerous because it goes downhill and then you can see it curves. And it's icy up there. Now, I understand that, yes, it used to be a school site, but that was 10 years ago, and the number of people who live in Incline Village has drastically changed in the last 10 years. Additionally, there are the issues of the STRs. So there's a lot of factors that need to be considered as this is looked at. Now, having said that, I'll tell you that the property has been for sale for at least 10 years, and and there have been a number of people who have looked at it for various different things, including Ivged and Mr. Duffield's foundation, his Duffield Foundation. They all looked at it for various different things, and they could not pencil it to make it work for the various issues they were talking about. Mr. Hasty has worked with NDOT and some other groups and gotten access to grants, transportation grants that would allow this to be a site that would be used. But something that's extremely important to note is there is no environmental impact statement or environmental assessment that has been done on this property to date, even though it's being used currently for transportation and has been used for some time. And as I understand it, although I haven't seen the actual design, there is, the actual map that shows the fault line, there is an earthquake fault that runs directly behind the backside of the school. So that's something that I think, this is Nevada, we're going to have to look at that. That's going to have to be looked at when they do that. And that means there's probably going to need to be a serious environmental impact statement looked at or an environmental assessment, either of which process is a 2-year process. So there's some factors here to be considered. But I also think it's extremely important to remember that this is money that's coming from the feds to demolish this very dangerous building that has asbestos blown in for insulation. It has asbestos tiles. It has asbestos tiles on the floor. So everything about this building is in need of going away and going away under pretty strict restrictions on how it's demolished so that it doesn't blow the particles around to people in the area. So those are just some factors I wanted to put in there and make sure that the commission is aware of the full issue of the issues that are there. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Commissioner Harton, nothing? All right. Commissioner Herman, do you have anything?
Not at this moment,
Thank you, okay. And Commissioner Jung has reached out to me, and she's also good. Mr. Hasty, so I do have a question for you. The grants, from DOT, are those build grants? Or what?
They're not. This is Federal Transit Administration money under what's called Section 5339. So this is for bus and bus facilities types of dollars.
So this is FTA, okay.
This is FTA, that's correct.
All right. And in the facility, if the facility were to go forward, would it be when you talk about a transportation hub, I mean, we saw the site and the idea, would it be something very similar to like our RTC 4th Street station or our Sentinel station in Sparks? Would it be a hub in that sense for your buses? And would there be parking there for what you've
Yes.
used, for residents to get transport to and from Sand Harbor?
There would be parking there, yes. The scale of the building or whatever, as far as the transit aspect of this, remains to be seen. And that depends on what we arrive at in terms of co-location. For example, in talking with the Sheriff's Department, they have a need of an acre. We're probably looking at something around 3 acres. Right now, that idea works. Any project concept then would be coming out of the public process. And then from there, to Commissioner Burke-Bigler's point, we would then be predicating what would need to be done from an environmental review and all that kind of business in order to bring that forward and have all that assessed.
Okay.
But the idea is to have a small transit facility that then this does work as a transfer point. The TART system, you have the Placer County actually serving Incline Village right now with their service. There's the potential, and I understand there's going to be a pilot next year that Washoe RTC is going to be coming up from the valley over to Incline into the lake. So
Right.
this becomes that kind of node into this larger system that we're eventually looking to create. And to the location itself, yes, I understand there's concerns about, the density, like right here where I'm looking, I got the cursor, if you can see that, this is where this, we have multifamily dwellings right here. And the safety aspects are certainly something that would be considered and taken care of in terms of design. I know there's a number of cars that park on Southwood itself. I think this tends to be overflow from this facility right here. But that's also built-in ridership. This is the kind of place where you tend to put your transit facilities and where you have higher dense residents, as well as you can see you've got commercial properties down below this that are used, as well as across the street, this whole commercial section that kind of runs like this, as well as along 28. So that proximity, while it does have some safety considerations that must be taken care of in design, et cetera, it is also a compatible use, can be, with transit and help support the use of transit and therefore start to alleviate the number of vehicles that are on the road.
Okay, Mr. Hasty, I have a question in regards, I guess, just to TTD. You own and operate your own bus systems, correct, for the Incline area?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, we run the seasonal service, and then we operate the system that's down at the South Shore and connects Minden, Gardnerville, and Carson City to the lake.
Where do you currently store your buses?
We have a bus yard in the city of South Lake Tahoe. We're looking at a location, starting to do some planning work there for a property down in Douglas County. And then we run the buses up here for the season. We run them up in the morning, run them back in the evening.
Now, is TART providing you the regional service for just the northern part of the lake, and then you provide the service from the southern, from Incline down to South Shore? Is that correct?
TART provides it for the northern part of the lake. That is correct. And, we don't really have a year-round yet. You don't have a year-round intertide transit system. So this service that we're doing right now on 28 in the summertime is the closest we get to it at the moment. But the long-term vision and plan, again, is to be able to have a connected regional system that then will connect outside of our major drive-up markets like the Truckee Meadows.
Understood. Now, and then just a couple more questions, just for my understanding. Do you have bus stations currently located on 28 close to the subject property?
We do not have bus stations located along 28. We do have the transit that's built into the transit stop at the trailhead parking for the new East Shore Trail. And then we will be building another transit kind of location there with that Spooner Summit location when that goes into construction.
Okay, all right. Okay, Commissioner Hartung.
I do have a question. I have a question for you, Mr. Hasty.
Yes.
I appreciate the great presentation. It seems as if you're almost, and I'm just looking at this maybe from the 30,000-foot level, but the potential here is almost for a park and ride. And I'm concerned because even with STRs, we've had deep discussions about limiting the amount of parking for those not residents, but those folks who are renting, those renters. My question is have you guys thought about that? Because if you create a transit station that's, let's say, goes to some of the trailheads and goes to, Sand Harbor and some of these other places, folks are going to park their cars in and around either if there is parking on the site itself or in and around in the neighborhoods, and then use that transit to get to their destinations, enjoy their day, and then come home.
Understood. What we have done in the past, and it has worked thus far, is use other overflow and underutilized parking areas in the summertime. What I mean by that is the agreement, for example, that we've had with the school district is when this location has gotten full for the day, then people are directed to go to the new elementary school because that is not a year-round school and that parking is available. And then we pick them up at a bus there. So we're trying to use as many assets that exist already and trying to manage the situation that from the visitation that we get, and until such time as we can get the other kind of infrastructure that we're looking for as well, including those capture points outside of Tahoe that then we can bring them in and out without having to be in their car at all.
Right, okay. Yeah, and I'm just trying to understand. I hate to sound like this, but I don't know the problems intimately enough to try to offer a solution, but what I also know is that sometimes these kinds of things can exacerbate the problem because, we've already got issues at Sand Harbor. We've had to limit the way people park, and you know far better than I do, far more intimately than I do. So I'm glad we're having this conversation now, and I really do appreciate your time. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hasty. Anything further from you? All right, Mr. Hasty, thank you. We do appreciate the presentation, and we look forward to having a continued conversation about that, but we do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
This morning. Yes. Is there any public comment on this?
There's nobody signed in.
Thank you. All right, seeing no public comment, bring it back to the board. This is slated for possible action. However, I think we've had enough discussion with Mr. Hasty and we have some direction. I think there's some things to work on, and the manager and Mr. Hasty can probably work on that going forward. All right. We are done with our presentations. Mr. Manager, we are on to item 7, sir.
Item 7 is a certificate honoring the following Washoe County employee who has completed essential employee development courses. And today we're honoring Misty Best, a legal secretary, supervisor in the Public Defender's Office who's completed the essentials of SAP for HR reps. And I don't believe she's here today, but if you'll bear with me here for a second. The county encourages lifelong learning and the professional development of our employees, administered by the Human Resources Department. Excellence in public service is a series of certificate programs designed to support employee development and performance. The completion of these courses over 2 years demonstrates the employee's commitment to continuous personal and professional improvement and to Washoe County's journey of excellence. We are pleased to recognize that commitment today to Misty Best, Legal Secretary Supervisor for the Public Defender's Office, who has completed the Essentials of SAP for HR Reps Certificate Program. Congratulations, Misty.
Yes, congratulations, Misty. Round of applause for even though you're not with us today. We appreciate that. We do appreciate, even though, once again, I'll say it again, challenging year. 2020 has not been that easy, but we do encourage our employees to get out and take advantage of these wonderful opportunities. And for those of you who have and continue to excel within our organization, we want to thank you for your commitment, not only to Washoe County, but to growing yourself and making and increasing your availability and opportunities here within the region. We think this is fantastic. So thank you, Misty, and congratulations on your Essentials, your award today. All right. So with that, we will close item 7 and move on to item 8. This is our proclamations. Mr. Manager.
Yes, proclamations today to proclaim the week of November 8th through 14th as National Apprenticeship Week.
Thank you. And Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Canale, are you with us today?
I am, Commissioner Hartung. Thank you very much.
Nice to hear from you. I wish you were here in the chamber.
Thank you. It's always nicer because usually when I come to the chamber, I'm able to bring some apprentices that are registered in the programs with me to talk about it. But things are as they are. But thank you for having me anyway.
No, we understand completely, and we appreciate the programs that you guys offer and the high quality of training that is given. So with that said, we do have a proclamation here for you. But I don't know how we'll get it to you. We'll figure it out. So, whereas high-quality registered apprenticeship programs have provided opportunities and secured jobs to Nevadans for decades. Whereas the number of active apprentices has consistently increased, including among women, minorities, and veterans, demonstrating that apprenticeship is a viable career path across all segments of society. Whereas registered apprenticeship training creates industry-driven and flexible training solutions to meet national and local needs and gives individuals of all ages the chance to learn from construction industry professionals. And whereas an ever-growing number of job creators and career seekers are discovering the benefits of apprenticeship's unique learn-while-you-earn model. And whereas more than 6,000 active registered apprentices in Nevada are currently training in high-skilled construction careers that will provide opportunity for achievement as well as contribute to the overall prosperity of our state. And whereas the Northern Nevada Building and Construction Trades Union and associated contractors invite community members to visit their joint apprenticeship training centers to see the great opportunities and programs available right here in Northern Nevada. Now, therefore, the Washoe County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the week of November 8th through the 14th, 2020, National Apprenticeship Week, dated the 17th day of November 2020, signed by the hand of our chair, Bob Lucy.
Mr. Canale, would you like to make some comments, sir?
Yes, Chairman Lucy, thank you very much. And thank you, Commissioner Hartung, for bringing that up. And to all the fellow commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. For the record, my name is Randy Canale. I'm training coordinator for the UA Local 350 Pipe Trades Apprenticeship, and I'm also president of the Northern Nevada Apprenticeship Coordinators Association, also known as NACA, who are the Building and Construction Trades Apprenticeship programs for the Northern Nevada Building and Construction Trades Council and their affiliated contractors. As stated, we represent over 600 registered apprentices currently enrolled in Northern Nevada alone, and we are the training programs providing the skilled workforce in advanced construction that has allowed Northern Nevada to continue to be such an attractive place for new business and industry to come to our area and give our future such a strong and diversified economy. Even as the pandemic has raged all over Nevada and even the world, construction, having been identified as an essential occupation, has been able to help keep our economy going as best as possible. So on behalf of these programs, I'd like to say thank you to the Washoe County Commissioners for recognizing that November 8th through 14th was National Apprenticeship Week, and thank you for the accompanying proclamation. Again, apprenticeship is known as the other four-year degree, and I want to remind everyone that our apprenticeship programs are not an alternative to college, they are college, as all programs have signed memorandums of understandings with community colleges and are the Earn While You Learn programs that incur no debt to the students while they earn a livable wage, all also while learning a skill set that is in high demand and transportable. Thank you again for your recognition, and I hope everyone stays safe and well during these difficult times.
Thank you, Mr. Canale. We do appreciate you joining us this morning for the proclamation. I have to say, I believe wholeheartedly in your organization's work and what you do. I believe that we don't, in this country, we don't put enough emphasis on the trades and the trade work and how important it is. I think we've had this altered mindset that a four-year college degree is the end-all be-all, where I know quite a few individuals that have entered the trades and are very, very successful individuals and very smart individuals, and I think there should be a shift to that. And I want to commend you and your entire organization for continuing to push our youth and our individuals and our citizens into those types of roles and training them and teaching them how to succeed in that. So I can't thank you enough, and I look forward to continuing to reading these proclamations for your organization. Any other comments by any of the commissioners? Commissioner Jung or Commissioner Herman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that the apprenticeship program is one of the most important things that we can offer our young people, and even some of those that want to change from some profession that they learned in college and it's not being used anymore, or it's kind of silent or whatever. But this takes the place of having no paycheck for darn sure, and that's pretty darn important in our lives, especially right now. So thank you so much for being a member of the society that takes care of the working class people. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman, for the kind words.
Commissioner
You're
Jung,
welcome.
do you have anything this morning?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm the one that asked to put this on the agenda today, and I thank Commissioner Hartung for reading it for me in my stead. I can't say enough about what a great program this is and how important it is that young, and as Commissioner Herman said, people who are looking at a career change, these apprenticeship programs are something that are so unusual that when I explain them to people, people don't believe that these exist, which is they get paid for their work while they're training. They also get health insurance for themselves and their families, which is critical right now in the middle of a pandemic. And these, while we call these blue-collar jobs, these, if you measured the happiness level, which I believe we don't do enough of in government, I see people who are living their bliss while working with their hands or outside or whatever it may be, but their level of happiness and joy in their life, I can really see a difference in their ability. They're proud to take care of their families and to take care of our communities. And I can't also say enough, the reason why those wages are so good and those benefits are there is because we do have strong unions here in Northern Nevada, statewide, and nationally. And that is largely because of the hard work of Mr. Canale and all of the other trades out there, making sure that while many people who work in the trades cannot make these meetings, that they are instead there for them to ensure that they are paid a wage that is commensurate with the amount of training that these programs invest into these men and women. So blue collar all the way, Mr. Canale. I think my favorite people to be around are the people that work with their hands. So my hat's off to you. And if I could do it all over again, I probably would go into the trades, because when I look at young people getting 4-year degrees and having over $100,000 in student loan debt, I just don't see how that even works anymore. And the county is also, in some ways, complacent and keeping that myth going forward in requiring all these high degrees as a way to gatekeep against people who may not have the entitlement, the wealth, or the knowledge of how to break down barriers to get a degree from an academic institution. So, Mr. Canale, keep fighting on. I'll always be there with you, shoulder to shoulder, and let's get more people engaged and involved, and apprentices living a life that is much like all of us are trying to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jang.
Yes, thank you so much again. Everybody's kind words and everything. Like I say, I am accepting this on behalf of all the building and construction trades programs, but we greatly appreciate the support, and you all have hit it on the nail on the head with your statements about how valuable apprenticeship can be and is. And like I say, we do need to get that word out there that we can't always try to fit that square peg in a round hole. These are college programs. They are an alternative, and the only good thing is you earn money right off the bat and you don't incur that debt. So again, you all seem to realize that, and I sure appreciate your statements. You all received packets with invitations to our training centers. Some of you have already done that, but again, if anyone is interested, we would love to have you come and see what we're doing to help build the future of Nevada.
Thank you, Mr. Canale. We do appreciate it. So good luck, be safe, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you as well.
All right, so Commissioner Hartung, is that in the form of a motion?
It was, sir.
All right, and we have a second from Vice Chair Burke-Bigler. Let me call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, we are on to item 9. This is our donations, and Madam Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there was no public comment
Thank
for that
you.
last item.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. All right, since there is no public comment on the proclamations, we'll close for item 8, and we will move on to our donations, and we'll have our Madam Vice Chair read those in for us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would put this in the form of a motion that we approve these. And so 9-1A is a recommendation to accept a donation in the amount of $12,000 from D.R. Horton for the Community Services Department to improve school zone pedestrian safety on Zolezi Lane. And 9-2A2 is a recommendation to accept a donation of $12,266 from the Mountain View Montessori School to improve school zone pedestrian safety on Zolezi Lane. And these two obviously go hand in glove, and we're so appreciative of these two organizations. D.R. Horton is always a good partner in this community, and of course the Mountain View Montessori School is a well-attended, very top-notch school, and so safety of our students is a priority, so we thank you for that. 9B is a recommendation to accept donations to Washoe County Regional Animal Services in the amount of $11,479 retroactive to the period of July 1, 2020 through September 30th, 2020, to be used for the humane care and treatment of sick and/or injured, stray, abandoned, or at-risk animals. And we really want to express our thanks to all of the people who provide donations to our animal services to help with taking care of animals who are strays or who have been injured and need care and taken care of. Such an important issue. As you guys all know, I have 3 adopted animals from Humane Society, so they're extremely important to all of us. 9C is a recommendation to accept a one-time appreciation gift donations, estimated value of $1,250 from private citizens in Washoe County for the Sheriff's Office. And here again, we're always appreciative of our citizens who are making donations to our sheriff's office and to all the other things they do. We are truly blessed in this county to have so many great people who live here and want to assist in any way they can. And that is in the form of a motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I do appreciate that. So I do have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Hartung. I have a motion and a second for all to accept all the donations. Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed?
Public comment.
Is there any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Motion carries unanimously with all commissioners voting. Thank you. All right, we are on to item 10. This is our consent agenda. The consent agenda is represented in items 10A through 10E. Are there any items in the consent agenda that's been posted in the agenda that any commissioner would like to take out or have any further discussion or information on? Seeing none from any of the commissioners. Commissioner, I have a motion from Madam Vice Chair.
Second.
Second from the Commissioner Hartung. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment on any of these items?
I have nobody signed in.
All right, seeing none. Bring it back to the board. All those, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. Let's move on here quickly. We are on, Madam Vice Chair, do you have a block vote for us this morning?
Mr. Chair, yes, I do. I would propose and make a motion that we put in a block vote item 11, item 13, item 14, 15, and 16.
Item, who is the recommended person for item 11? Madam Vice
Oh,
Chair?
yes, I'm sorry, that is correct. Item 11, we need to put it in the block vote with the addition of Terry Savage as the person we're appointing.
Svedich.
Savage.
Svedich.
Okay, I got it.
Potato, potato. All right.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second for a block vote that includes items 11 with the recommendation of Terry Svedich, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Mr. Manager, will you read those into the record, sir?
Item 11 is a recommendation to appoint Terry Svedich, all right, as one of members to the Truckee River Fund Advisory Committee. Item 13 is a recommendation to accept a Violence Against Women Act, or VAWA, grant to the District Attorney's Office in the amount of $164,825, $55,019 required match from the State of Nevada Attorney General's Office, provided funding for a Deputy District Attorney 3, retroactive from July 1st, 2020 through July 30th, 2021, and direct the comptroller to make the necessary budget adjustments and retroactively authorize the district attorney or his designees to sign the grant agreement. Item number 14 is a recommendation to approve Amendment number 2, to the contract currently awarded to Reno Initiative for Shelter and Equality, or RISE, awarded request for proposal number 3130-20 for facility operator of Our Place Women and Facility Shelter on the Our Place campus to include a one-time payment in the amount of $100,000 that exceeded the original $1,983,333 contract amount as a result of an increased need for services due to COVID-19, retroactive for the period of July 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2020. Authorize an increase in the amount of $120,000 to support increased staffing needs for a total payment of $2,103,333, retroactive for the term of May 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021, and authorize an increase of $120,000 to the 4 renewal periods for a contract amount not to exceed $1,820,000, plus up to $50,000 in possible reimbursements for hotels If approved, authorize the purchasing and contracts manager to accept the amendment and revise the purchase order. Item number 15 is a recommendation to accept community development block grants from the Nevada Governor's Office for economic development in the amount of $144,300, no county match, to increase food distribution in northern Nevada in the amount of $30,000, no match, no county match, for 2 refrigerated trailers for Sun Valley and North Valleys, and in the amount of $11,747, no county match, for COVID-related supplies of rural senior citizens in Washoe County. All 3 grants are for the period retroactive October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021, and if approved, authorize county manager to execute grant documents and sign sub-grant agreements between Washoe County and the Food Bank of Northern Nevada in the amount of $144,300 to increase food distribution in Northern Nevada, and the amount of $30,000 for 2 refrigerated trailers for Sun Valley and North Valleys, and approve the resolutions necessary for same, and direct the comptroller's office to make the appropriate budget amendments. Item number 16 is a recommendation to accept a Nevada Division of Emergency Management Grant Award not to exceed $200,000, no county match required, as administered through the State of Nevada Department of Public Safety, Division of Emergency Management, Federal Fiscal Year 2020, project number 97067.20 to the Washoe County Sheriff's Office Bomb Unit for the purchase of equipment for the Consolidated Bomb Team for the retroactive grant term of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2022, and if approved, authorize Sheriff Balaam to execute grant award document and direct the comptroller's office to make the necessary budget adjustments.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Manager. I do appreciate that. I have a motion and a second on the block vote. Madam Clerk, is there any public comment on any of the items?
There was no public comment. Who was the seconder?
The seconder was Commissioner Hartung.
Thank you.
Seeing no further public comment, nobody on Zoom to either, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
So I believe all commissioners voting, all in the affirmative, motion carries unanimously. All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate that. Mr. Manager, let's jump right back to item 12.
Item 12 is a recommendation to acknowledge receipt of the Distinguished Budget Presentations Award for fiscal year 2019 to 2020 from the Government Finance Officers Association. And today we have Lori Cook, who's our budget manager on team, and her team on Zoom for the acknowledgement of the Distinguished Budget Award for the FY 19-20 year.
Good afternoon, Ms. Cook, or good morning.
Good
I should
afternoon,
say.
Chair. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How are you?
Okay, perfect. Normally I wouldn't jump in here. We had this scheduled obviously for last March, and we know what's kind of happened since then. I kind of wanted to do it as a team, but getting it on the agenda this time, first of all, is important because it shows how we work as a team. This is not an easy document to put together. There are multiple criteria that we have to meet. And so it just shows it's not just the budget team or the budget division, but Washoe County as a whole. But most specifically today, this is going to be the last regular board meeting for one of my team members, Val Gilmore. She is retiring in a few weeks after 21 years of county service plus additional years with the school district. So I just wanted to give my thanks to her. She's she's probably one of the nicest human beings to ever be on the planet, and we're going to miss her. So I just wanted to say thanks to her. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Val, are you still?
Yeah, that was it. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Broke up a little bit.
Well, Lori, we know how hard your team works on a very challenging and difficult budget. every year in and out, and it takes a team to really put that budget together, and I think these awards is so important. Now, I'm sorry, who's leaving again from your team?
Valerie Gilmore.
Valerie Gilmore is, okay. Well, and we want to wish Ms. Gilmore the best in retirement. Like I said, it is a difficult and sometimes very thankless job to sit there and manage assets and manage expectations of our entire organization and keep us fiscally solvent. And we've been very, I should say, very, very successful in managing our finances for very, very many years. And it's because of the excellence that we have from your team and your continued commitment to that. And so this award is definitely fitting and well reserved and well deserved for your team. So congratulations once again on receiving the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for fiscal year 2019 and 2020. Once again, we look forward to the great work that your team puts together.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause to the team. Thank you. All right, so with that, I'm looking for a motion to accept the award.
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Hartung, second from Vice Chair Burke-Bigler. Is there any public comment?
I have nobody signed in.
Seeing no public comment, we will close public comment, bring it back to the board. Call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously with all commissioners voting. Please affirm your votes. There we go. All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. We are on to our public hearing. We are on to item 17, I'm sorry. I forgot that team. We will open the public hearing and move into our public hearing for, this is an appeal process. So Mr. Manager, do you want to read this into the record?
Sure. Item 17 is a public hearing appeal of the denial by the Washoe County Board of Adjustment of variance case number WPVA R20-0004, Merritt Ranch Yard setback reduction, which sought approval of a variance to allow the reduction of the required rear yard setback from the 20 feet to 9 feet 9 inches to facilitate the construction of a new detached garage on a parcel of land with an existing single-family residence. This constitutes a reduction of 10 feet 3 inches. The proposed project is located at 2152 Tanager Court at the northern terminus of Tanager Court, approximately 400 feet north of the intersection of Wagtail Drive. The board may affirm, reverse, or modify the decision of the Board of Adjustment. In doing so, the board may directly grant directly grant all or part of the variance request.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manager. As part of these appeal processes, we do allow the appellant to present their appeal or the portion of their case, but we also at the same time, we get a small presentation from staff. I believe we have Ms. Howenstein. Moira, are you with us no, I'm sorry. Mr. Pelham.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Roger Pelham with Washoe County Planning. Can you all hear me?
We can hear you fine, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful. I am going to now attempt to share my screen. Okay, and do you see my presentation?
Now we got it, sir.
Okay. This is an appeal of a denial by the Board of Adjustment of a variance request to reduce a rear yard setback for construction of a garage. That reduction was proposed to be from the required 20 feet down to 9 feet 9 inches. The subject site is located in the Eagle Canyon area of the Spanish Springs area plan, as shown here on the map, just east of Calle de la Plata. Are you seeing an overhead photograph?
We are, sir.
Wonderful. Just making sure I'm keeping up. This is the subject site outlined in blue. You can see that this is within an area that is developed with similar single-family dwellings, many of which also include the extra detached garages. In this particular instance, the applicant is seeking to reduce the rear yard setback up in this one corner, shown here with the red circle and arrow. Have you all seen the site plan?
Uh-huh.
Wonderful. These are elevations of the proposed structure. I would note that the structure itself is greater than 12 feet in height. That will come into play just in a moment when I go over our analysis. Essentially, if this structure were 12 feet or less in height, it would be allowed in this location. Variances are a unique type of discretionary action. Both Nevada revised statutes and the Washoe County Code require that the board make a finding, a legal finding, that there is a hardship on the property, that is to say the land itself. And that hardship is very limited. This is a fairly high bar to clear. One of those hardships, or I should say the hardship must be one of the following circumstances. That is to say exceptional narrowness, exceptional shallowness, exceptional shape of the specific piece of property, exceptional topographic conditions, or other extraordinary and exceptional situation or condition of the piece of property. So I'd like to run through the analysis of each one of these factors. The minimum lot width in the medium density suburban zone is 80 feet. This parcel is approximately 115 feet in width average, so it is not exceptionally narrow. Likewise, 80 feet being the minimum dimension, and the depth is approximately 189 feet, not exceptionally shallow. The exceptional shape, no, as you saw by the overhead photo, sort of this pie slice shape is fairly common, particularly at the end of cul-de-sacs, so is, I'm afraid, not exceptional. The applicant has expressed the opinion that the pie shape is exceptional, and that should be taken into consideration in their variance request, and likewise that there is a drainage feature to the sort of northeast part of parcel line, that is to say behind the parcel. The drainage feature is not on the subject site and therefore really does not create a constraint. And again, likewise, the pie shape is similar to others in the area. Exceptional topography. This parcel of land is within a developed subdivision. It has all been graded essentially flat. The photograph here shows the proposed location for the garage, and it is called out with these stakes and orange paint corners, if you can see that there on this photograph. Staff did receive one letter from the neighboring property owner who is in favor of the application request because it would sort of move the proposed garage further away from the windows of his house. Notice regarding this hearing was sent in accordance with Washoe County Code to 77 affected property owners within a 500-foot radius. This was reviewed by all of the relevant agencies prior to going to the Board of Adjustment. No recommendations for denial were received, except from planning, of course, because it is our evaluation that there is no hardship which allows us to recommend approval. That being said, staff is bringing forward the decision of the Board of Adjustment, which found that there was no hardship and therefore could not approve the variance request. And if this board finds that there is an exceptional hardship or circumstance, I have prepared conditions of approval. With that being said, I have two possible motions. These are also included on pages 3 and 4 of your staff report, and I'm available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Pelham. At this time, I believe we have Miss Jennifer Merritt with us to represent their portion of the case. As a custom, as I said, within the beginning of the ground rules, we always allow the appellant to provide us with their portion of the case and provide us with some insight for their appeal. So, Miss Merritt, are you with us?
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
We can. We will give you 10 minutes, and you're allowed to share with us your appeal, ma'am.
Thank you very much. So again, thank you, Mr. Chair and fellow commissioners. I am Jennifer Merritt, property owner of 2152 Tanninger Court. I'll be representing both Jamie and I today. Jamie does send his apologies for not being able to attend. He's trying to finish up a job before our next storm that rolls through. Thank you, Roger, for explaining our application. He has presented our request quite well. So again, just to recap, we had requested for a variance for our rear yard setback. As Roger had mentioned, Washoe County Code says that based on the height of our walls, the rear setback would be 20 feet from property line. So our walls are 14 feet, pushing us inward, and we're requesting that variance to be set back into that 20-foot easement, if you will. Our property, as you saw from the images, is located within a cul-de-sac, and it's not an exceptional, as Roger had said, but it is something to be noted that other cul-de-sac properties have equal type side yards, and ours on our west side is 67 feet less than our east side. And should it have been more similar in length, we would not be here today requesting for this. Really what it is 221 square foot to be set in that 20-foot setback. Following that, as you had heard, that we did seek approval from our homeowners association, and their approval process was that as long as they approved it with no conditions other than obtaining all permits through Washoe County Building, as well as staying with similar material and color schemes as our existing home. Following that, we did put in our application to Building and Planning for our variance request, and that application was sent out to multiple agencies for review. Our application was heard and reviewed, passed unanimously by the Spanish Springs CAB on September 2nd. Most of the CAB members acknowledged that our area was designed, the older property, the older Hawkos, we had bigger lots to accommodate detached structures. And people had, the other CAB members also recognized that there was the 50-foot storm drain in the back, which we are not approaching on, but it was taken into consideration because there added some additional separations from the lots behind us. And it was also determined that we were not obstructing any kind of sunlight or airspace from any of our surrounding neighbors, nor are we obstructing any mountain views. The one thing I also want to say is, you also saw that it was reviewed by other agencies within Washoe County, again, to note that there was no comments on there other than what Roger had said, that we didn't meet the criteria for a hardship. And so that was one of the specific reasons why our application was denied. And Jamie and I, we both feel as though, hardship can be looked at two different ways. And one of ours, if you look at the true definition and the lack of comfort, and personally, especially with the wildfires that we've had seen around our community, you know, I would just feel more comfortable having that garage set back further away from my house. I would hate to have a fire on either structure, but, you know, a lack of comfort for it being so close to our house if we weren't able to utilize some of that 20-foot. And all the diagrams that I want to mention too, that you saw in the architectural, those are representing us having the setback. So I just want to note that when you see the image of the proposed garage and our existing structure, that is set back that additional 10-foot or 9-foot as what we're requesting it. So, you know, you want to bring that further. And then, you know, the purpose of our structure is to, we've raised our kids for 19 years and we've put our life on hold. And so now it's time that we want to be able to, you know, enjoy our life. And so we want to be able to explore our hobbies in a structure and keep it out of the view of our neighbors, because we do enjoy, you know, having clean properties and, you know, being able to be proudful of everything that's surrounding and being just aware of our neighbors as well. So, I mean, we are asking for a larger garage, but that's to accommodate, you know, RVs that we plan on purchasing, or a RV, but with a 12-foot wall, it wouldn't be able to really park in there. So again, I hope I've answered a lot of your guys' questions, and I will be here to answer if you have any additional ones. So on behalf of Jamie and I, we really just thank you for your time and consideration of our request.
Thank you, Ms. Merritt. We do appreciate that presentation. All right, we'll bring it back to the board for further discussion. So before we jump there, is there any public comment, Madam Clerk, being this is a public hearing?
I have nobody signed in.
All right, seeing nobody on Zoom as well. All right. Commissioners. Commissioner Hartung.
Yeah, as you know, that this is in District 4, out in Spanish Springs. I will respectfully disagree with staff. I do think that there are some extraordinary circumstances here. If you look at the size of the, not the size of the lot, the shape of the lot, it's an irregularly shaped lot. It's difficult to do anything. And I mean, I guess if they were to build an irregular shaped garage, they could fit it on an irregular shaped lot. And that's not the case. They're asking for a reduction of setback to where the rear parcel abuts to a 50-foot storm drain easement. There are no neighbors behind them. And the amount that they're asking inside that setback is 220 square feet, which is the size of a small bedroom. It's not I don't think that this is an unreasonable request. I would like you to note, Commissioners, that nobody came out in opposition. The Spanish Springs Citizens Advisory Board found it to be in conformance with what has happened in the neighborhoods historically out in Spanish Springs to have large garages. These folks moved to larger parcels so that they could do these kinds of things. I recognize that the setbacks exist for a reason, but in this particular case, I don't think that this is an unreasonable request. And in fact, their neighbor has written a letter in support of this. And I'll wager, I have not driven the neighborhood to look for other parcels that have encroached in the setbacks with accessory dwellings, but I know that they're there. I know that they're there. Over the years, I've seen them in my own neighborhood and the requests, having lived out there for 33 years. Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and the information received during the public hearing, the Board of County Commissioners reverse the decision of the Board of Adjustment and approve the variance case number WPVAR 20-0004, Merritt rear yard setback reduction for Jamie and Jennifer Merritt, with conditions included in attachment D to the staff report, being able to make all 5 findings in accordance with the Washoe County Code section 110.804.25, including all of those listed in the staff report.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Motion from Commissioner Hartung, second from Vice Chair Burke-Bigler. I would agree with you, Commissioner, as I'm, just for further discussion here, I am going around in our mapping system and looking at the surrounding neighborhood, and just from my quick glance, within 40 or 50 homes, there seems to be quite a few homes that have secondary secondary detached dwellings that are either right on their property line or within the easement, within the setbacks. So I see it that it would be just fine. I don't see that there is any challenges to this, from my opinion, so I'm in support of this as well.
And Mr. Chairman, I don't see that there's any detriment to the neighborhood. And in fact, I find it quite the opposite. I think that this is a benefit to the neighborhood. They're not storing RVs or while they're working on vehicles or ATVs or whatever, where they're out in the yard or in the front yard on jacks, as it were. This is a very responsible request, in my opinion.
I would agree. All right. Commissioner Herman or Commissioner Jung, do you have any comments at this time?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I see that there actually is a benefit there for the neighbor. If they're for it and it's helping their view, it's kind of a plus. So I see that, and there doesn't seem to be much opposition at all, other than the people at the county. So, we have that right to make that change. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Herman. Commissioner Jung?
I'm in support of this, and I think we need another agenda item to talk about these different boards that are unelected that we ask citizens to go to follow the rules. Because my other question always is, once things get gummed up like this, and the boards that seem to advise us all come from a place of no, is that what's preventing people from just doing it? I mean, there has to be a give and a take on these rules, because if you make it so encumbering, people will just go build it and then ask you for forgiveness when they go to sell it, right? So we need a big talk on that before February about the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Commission and the delays that are occurring. And here, this is a great example. This is just a husband and wife looking to improve their property, and we're sent through the bureaucracy, and it doesn't seem like they even got a fair hearing in reading the agenda or the draft minutes that are in our packet here. So this just begs to a bigger global problem that we have in Northern Nevada that I would like to discuss more. But I fully, I'm always going to come on the side of property rights owners. I think it distinguishes us as a country of all other countries, and they're doing it the correct way. So let's acknowledge that as well. They're doing this correctly according to the rules, and I know there's lots of people that would have thrown up their hands and done whatever they wanted. So, and my hat's off to the commissioner in the district that recognizes that and is that much boots on the ground and understands his own community. So thank you. I support this commissioner. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner John. All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Hartung, second from Vice Chair Burke-Bigler. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously with all commissioners voting. All right. We are on to item 18. Mr. Manager.
Item 18 is public comment. Comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the commission agenda. The commission will also hear public comment during individual action items with comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the commission as a whole.
All right. Madam Clerk.
So we do have an email from Diane Hirschberg, but she is also on Zoom.
Diane Hirschberg is on Zoom.
Yes.
All right. Ms. Hirschberg.
Mute. Am I unmuted?
You are, ma'am. We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Diane Becker Hirschberg, and I'm a full-time resident of Incline Village. I'm sorry I was not able to get into the public comment on item 8. I'm speaking in opposition to the proposed Tahoe Transportation District transportation hub at the site of the former Incline Village Elementary School site. I have sent a detailed letter to Commissioner Burke-Bigler, County Manager Brown, the Tahoe Transportation District Board, and the TARPA Board, expressing the strong objection of many local residents to that site becoming a transportation hub. I want to advise you that the objections were based on the following: a failure to have public meetings, public disclosure, or any public outreach in Incline Village during all these years on that proposed site. The failure to look at other available sites on Highway 28 in Incline Village, which many of the Incline Village residents and businesses support as a transportation hub, and on a misstatement made by TTD's consultant to Washoe County that allegedly the general manager of IVGID, Indra Winquist, supports this site when he has separately written an email to the TTD board stating that that was untrue. At the most recent TTD board meeting last Friday, the TT board heard the objections of the residents and expressed concern that there had been no public meetings in Incline, and also concern of a failure to look at other sites in Incline. The TTD board directed and set up a committee, which includes Commissioner Burke-Bigler, the chairman of the TTD board, and the chairman of the TARPA board, among others, to be sure that there are public meetings and also to look at the other sites. I will separately send each of you more facts concerning objections of the local community to this site. That's not to all sites, but to this site. And those objections are important because the reason and the rationale for the need for this site, for this transportation hub, is the multi-use path, the certain beaches, the large number of people coming to Lake Tahoe. And so it seems as if the TTD should not be trying to get a fire sale price on this particular site when there are other sites available. And we really ask for you all to look carefully if any assistance is asked from Washoe County with respect to this site. And again, this is an objection to any site in Incline Village. I also want to note that usually the Federal Transportation District requires public meetings before it will approve funding. But in this case, Mr. Hasty got a special exemption from this requirement because usually the Federal Transportation District wants to know how the public feels about the project. But by getting an objection, if this site is purchased, then the public will virtually have no input on this site. Anyways, I thank you, for your listening.
Thank you, Ms. Hirschberg. We do appreciate your public comment. Next, we have Daniel Purdy on Zoom, I believe. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
That is correct.
So, Mr. Purdy, you are unmuted. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd like to make a request. Earlier today, you guys were talking about not reading public comment or voicemails into the record. I have no problem Zooming in, but there are people in this country that don't have Zoom. They only have access to telephones. So let's get to the letter. Daniel Purdy, brother of Thomas Purdy, murdered at Washoe County Jail. Myself and members of your community have called in for years to see change made with your police organization and the jail. You have failed the taxpayer. And it is just so happens the DA has never, ever found a cop responsible for murder of a community member. But there is a good reason for this. 1 second, guys. There is a good reason for this. Police organizations are allowed to make political donations to DAs. So it is in the DA's best interest not to charge these cops with these crimes. And I find it very lacking on your part. Over the past 4 years that I've been calling, nothing. I mean, to think that this couldn't happen to someone you know, I mean, come on, that's just not even reasonable. I believe on one of your commissioners already had a run-in with the police, and it didn't help them out any. Well, I'd say have a nice day, but I really wouldn't mean it anyways.
Thank you, Mr. All right, we'll go to Anne Marie Grant next on Zoom. Ms. Grant, the floor is yours.
Anne Marie Grant, for the record, I'd appreciate it if I have your full attention and you don't speak with each other while I am speaking. Anne Marie Grant, sister of Thomas Purdy, murdered at Washoe County Jail, hogtied by Reno police for 40 minutes. FYI, attempts to silence me and my efforts for justice and change only strengthen my resolve. This sudden change in procedure reminds me of how Stalin denied people's free speech in communist Russia. I'd gladly rather have my brother alive than be lecturing you unmoved individuals. I see no justification for not reading emails or playing voicemails, other than a spineless attempt to stop the public from hearing about your shortcomings in your positions as county commissioners. You clearly do not care about your community members having free access to their voice being heard. If you did, you wouldn't take away means that make it easier and more accessible to have their voice heard. What about community members who work and catch the meetings on YouTube later on that want their voice heard? You expect them to be working and watch the meeting for public comment? One of you talked about the workers from the apprentice program. Do you not care to hear about their voice just because they're at work? Your actions aren't fooling anyone, sir. You can count on hearing from me live via Zoom so long as it's available. I know you all will pray for it to be done real soon. Again, I'll leave you with my brother, Thomas, being murdered at the jail by deputies.
Oh, they're gonna kill me! They're gonna kill me! Ow! Please don't do this, guys. Oh, please don't do this. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. There's nothing to work. So we can turn now. Pull this out. Ow! Don't you understand that we're trying to get this off of you? You gotta bend your legs or else we can't take it off you, partner. No. Keep pushing his legs up and push his body down. You gotta relax your legs, man. Ow! The other option, we can undo the cup and just control his arm. Ow!
Not surprised one of you got up and chose to leave during my comment. Typical. Have a nice day.
For the public comment, we will close public comment and bring it back to the board. We are on to item 19. Mr. Manager.
Item 19 is Commissioners and County Managers' announcements, reports, and updates to include boards and commissions updates, requests for information, or topics for future agendas.
All right. Mr. Manager, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right. Commissioners, anything? Commissioner Jung, Commissioner Herman, do you have anything?
No, thank you.
All right.
I believe we do have attorney-client.
We do have an attorney-client meeting this afternoon, so we will meet after that, after adjournment. I do want to ask for one item too. Commissioner Jung did bring it up about discussion of our appointed boards and having a more robust discussion about that. I think that's something we need to have on the agenda in the future. Also, we've been having, Mr. Manager, issues. I've received a number of emails, and I've been working with Mr. Solero and some of the state agencies, but can we get something on, in Hidden Valley, we have a wild horse problem due to some of the recent development by the city of Reno, the Southeast Connector. It's kind of created I'd say a corralling issue for wild horses into the Hidden Valley area and their community, which causes a public safety issue, not only for the drivers, as we've seen, many drivers have hit wild horses in the Damani Ranch area, but now becoming an issue in Hidden Valley. And a lot of it's because they have now placed a secondary feeding site between Damani Ranch and Hidden Valley in the on Washoe County property. And what it's doing is drawing those horses down, and then they're naturally, so we need to see if there's ways that we could do some kind of mitigation measures on the south part of Hidden Valley to probably prevent those horses from migrating into the community. That would be something I'd like to look forward to. And then that should be it, Mr. Manager. Once again, I appreciate it. And everybody, tomorrow, 2 p.m., we will be having a concurrent meeting with the City of Reno, City Sparks, via Zoom. The agenda is posted online. All three bodies will be meeting to discuss the issue of homelessness within our region, and we'll have a number of presentations from the community partners and the entities in regards to forward progress. So with that, look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow at 2 p.m. And with that, we are adjourned, everybody. Thank you.